This is one of the most important videos I have for you. This is my 2021 Skirmish Cycle target recon. Basically, this is all the information we have to go off of when we were building our Ronins for the raid. It is pretty important. I will go over a background of everything that we started out with, as well as individual ships and what kind of damage they're doing, and finish with what all this means for your build. So this is all based off the VXP targets on Friday, December 18th. It is all subject to change by Kixeye 100%. Maybe just take this as pure entertainment value. Now, we expect the final targets to have the same mechanics as this, but a different layout, and Kixeye will release their own strategy guide later on, like a week before the raid, which is far too late to have any useful information, because they're asking us to build a tool to do a job, but not giving us the information about that for sure, like until 4 days before the raid, which is stupid. Also, I might be wrong here, so don't take everything I say as gospel, check it all, do your own work, and if you're finding something different than I did, leave a comment. If I do make a mistake, I'll try to clarify that with a pinned comment in the YouTube section. With that said, I probably won't make a mistake because I've been correct on this for the past like 20 cycles or however long I've been doing this, not quite that long. Anyway, let's get started. The first ship is a Hunter. This thing has medium speed, probably a little bit higher than you, although it's not insane. Its weapon is a long-range torpedo, which has concussive damage, as you would expect. Its accuracy-based evade should work. It also has really high flak evade on these torpedoes, so your countermeasures, your cormorants, your built-in left and right countermeasure shields on your Ronins are not going to hit every single one of these. Also, this ship does appear to be affected by tactical fields. It's sped up and slowed down by the ice fields and the oil slicks, which we'll get into at the end. This is the main thing we're probably going to be facing, and the big takeaway here is that its torpedoes have very high flak evade. The next ship is a Proto Nemesis, and this has a fairly slow medium speed. It's probably a bit slower than you, although it's hard to quantify these things exactly. It does have what I'm calling medium long-range rockets. Basically, it outranges you ever so slightly. It outranges your Ronin torpedoes ever so slightly. And this thing deals explosive damage, which I can only presume is splash. So explosive survival will work against this thing, as will splash damage reduction, although that's a different video for a different day. Also, this is probably uncounterable. If anything works against this, it will be sprints, but fitting sprints to your Ronin as a submarine won't work anyway, because it's submerged underwater, and only a few countermeasures fire when they are underwater. So it probably is uncounterable and is guaranteed damage of sorts, although you can reduce it by staying moving in a straight line when you're near this thing. The next ship is a Nighthawk. This thing is again a fairly slow ship, but not like crawling slow. It has two weapons. The first of which is a smart torpedo, which most people are familiar with. It's a torpedo that shoots at you and you can dodge it, which is the important thing. So it's moving straight at you. All you have to do is move in a perpendicular line in the T shape, just move directly to the left of this thing, and it's going to miss. It appears you can do this pretty easily with just my standard build I've been going for, with the specials you would expect. Also, the second weapon here is a concussive gun. This thing is really high damage, but is fairly short range. You should be able to outrange this thing fairly easily if you are paying attention. If you have a range of 92, then it probably has a range of 85 or something. There's a small amount of wiggle room, but not a whole lot. And this gun can fire when you're underwater or above water, when it's underwater or above water. So be careful about this thing. It also appears that this gun is probably splash damage because of the way it's hitting the water. So this Nighthawk is a submarine. It will go up and down, although that hasn't really mattered. It hasn't really meant too much of a difference here. Just worry about the two weapons that are listed on screen right here. The most important one is the smart torpedo, because you have to try and dodge that one every time it fires, and you're going to get wrecked if you're on auto. And again, if you do get fairly close to this thing, its concussive gun will hit you. Also, this does not appear to be affected by tactical fields, because I have not seen it slowing up or speeding down in those things. Speaking of the tactical fields, let's get started with those. So the first one is actually on the bottom. Maybe I should have done this in the opposite order, but this is an oil slick. It's the dark thing in the water. This thing speeds you up and makes you go really fast. Also, it reduces your turn speed. You're going to have a hard time turning around or moving or dodging when you're in this thing. although you could use it to your advantage to catch up to something, to get away from something, or to dodge a smart torpedo. There's also an ice field, which will slow you down pretty massively. Both these things are in the target, and also the ice field is dropped when ships die, and is also left behind when a smart torpedo hits. So this is probably going to be more common, and I am expecting these to be placed in ways that we can use to our advantage, and also ways we have to try to avoid with the ice fields. Important notes about these tactical fields. First of all, is that slow resist on, say, Agility System 4 does not work. You need tactical field resist to resist tactical fields. Slow resist, stun resist does not work. Now we do have a special for this that we got for the Ronin. It's the limited one that we all got 5 of, and it's the Shikaro Splash Shield. This will likely, having tactical field resist such as this on your ships, will likely moderate this effect, meaning the ice field will slow you down less, and the oil slick will speed you up less. This is what I have on 2 ships already, and I'm going to keep using this. You could use Guidance Scrambler 3 instead for pure evade. You could use Hyper 30 for just speed as well as evade. I'm going to stick with using tactical field resist, as I'm expecting them to slop these all over the place in the targets, and I don't want to have to deal with it. If you're wondering how your ships will fare without this, take like your Mutineer fleet and see just how slow it gets slowed down to when it's in these things, and just how fast and hard to turn it is. So tactical fields are a pretty important thing here. Okay, you sat through a lot of things, now let's get into what this means for your build. There are quite a few things here, quite a few takeaways. One bullet point is that tactical field resist, in my opinion, is very important. Also, evade is very important because it means that we're going to be, because we are facing a whole bunch of torpedoes here, a lot of accuracy-based damage. There is also splash-based damage, but there is a lot of accuracy-based damage from torpedoes, therefore evade is important. Bullet point 3 is we need lots and lots of countermeasures in these targets. So I'm probably going to end up going with 10 cormorants across my fleet, as well as building the 5th ship, because you really need that built-in left and right countermeasure shields, because they have so high accuracy, they're way better than cormorants. So you probably need to build the 5th ship and really focus on countermeasures. There's a special we're all going to be using anyway because it's so good, so you don't really need to do anything else other than just put them on your ship, although again this is up for debate a little bit, and the cormorants now work more like gales than like phalanxes, and they can keep shooting until they take down the thing. On that note, projectile speed is important because the incoming torpedoes are pretty fast, so your projectile speed needs to also be fairly high to take those down. That is the U1 upgrade, so that will probably help out. Most people should be able to get up to U1 from like the 5 tokens we're going to get in the Skirmish TLC. Moving to the right side here, we have concussive survival. Concussive survival is very important. I'm noticing that more of the damage I'm taking is going to end up being concussive than explosive. The only sources of explosive damage are from the Proto Nemesis, which I guess is guaranteed, and is from the smart torpedo, which you cannot run. Meanwhile, concussive damage is from the Nighthawk, is from all the other normal torpedoes. It seems to be the highest threatening thing. If you are playing with armor, I would go 3 concussive, 1 explosive. I haven't quite decided what I'll do. I would need to go get more armor from the Forsaken mission if that was the case. Also, don't use gales. There are no mortars in this target. Gales won't work. Don't put them on. They won't even fire when your ship is underwater. Do not use gales on a submarine. Do not use gales in this target. They won't work. And 2 final points to finish with is that this target does not seem to be very auto-friendly unless Kixeye makes a few pretty big changes, which I am very disappointed by. Kixeye, I want to see an auto-target in the raid. Got that? Thank you. Also, I'm expecting, or I feel like this target's missing something. I feel like we could have something else in the X target and maybe the second S target. It seems like they could add in one more thing that could be a little bit fancier, a little bit harder. I do feel like there's something not quite in these targets, so there may be something else coming around. We'll have to see. So I hope this was a pretty good takeaway. I will also be making a build video going over what I'm planning on for my Ronin build, as well as maybe doing a bit of testing. And, so that's what I'm going to see. To get all this testing, I did build two ships fully out and 1 blank ship. And also I used my Mutineer fleet to go through and hit some things, so I took quite a lot of damage going through this thing, so a like on this video if it helps would be greatly appreciated. Special thanks to all my channel members whose names are on screen now. There are a few videos you can click, and as always, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.